All right. Okay. So I asked you all to commit to 6 months of being together. And there's a reason for that. The first reason is because the only way that mindset change happens is practice. You can't listen your way into transformation. You have to do it, because the brain cells that fire together wire together. And if you don't do anything, you don't get new wiring. Okay. So I wanted to have us all have an experience and create what I'm calling a community of practice, where we practice and we get supported from one another in practicing to create the actual changes we want to see in our lives. Okay. And specifically in this track, I thought about how we need to be able to transform our thinking for the world that is coming. And the first thing, which is what we're doing today, is learning the process of adapting to what is. That's ever changing. We'll talk about that in a second. But after that, we're going to then look at things that never change, that you have as building blocks to relate to changes. And it's like, it's a paradox. It's like we have to actually truly accept what is, train ourselves to meet life as it is, so that we can pull forth what it is that we want to create, a better future. So when we do that, the gifts, our gifts and talents as human beings, which we're going to do a deep dive in 2 sessions, is part of what we bring to be able to enact what we want to see in the future. We also need to really have strong intention. We're going to do practices on how we strengthen our intention of what we want to create. We want to then step into our own power and to work on the things that get in the way of that, which is what we'll do in session 5. And then we'll learn some techniques for thinking well together, because we can't do this alone, in session 6. So that's the roadmap and my reasoning behind it, okay? So the reality is, in terms of our brain, and this is the good news, is that no matter how old we are, we can change our mind. And as we change our mind, we actually change our physiology. So the more we practice being skillful at the things we're going to learn today, the more that we will be in that more rest and digest state, even in relation to challenges and difficulties. That's my dream, and that's my hope. And I'm an example of somebody who actually has put this stuff into practice and a very, very, very different human being than I was 40 years ago, 30 years ago. It only really takes 3 things to change your mind or any kind of habit in your life. The first is desire. I want to do this. The second is intention. I am going to do this. Intention is a very powerful thing. So I desire, I want to do it. Intention, I am going to do it. And the third most important is persistence, which is I'm going to keep trying doing this no matter how many times I screw up, no matter how many times I forget, no matter how many times I fall off the wagon, I'm going to get back on. That's the only thing it takes. And the more we do that, then the more we can actually transform our thinking.